So without further ado, I'd like to put the first question to Hikmet. Why do you think your company has been so successful? And can you think back to some of the incremental decisions that you were involved in that really helped boost the performance of the firm to the next level in your tenure?
Well, it's a long story. It's 166 years of story, right? Western Union been on the market for 166 years. I've been with the company for 19 years. As you mentioned earlier, it's my 8th year of being a CEO, and we've been through different transformation phases. During the transformation, what we have done is that we really learned from our customers. You know, you have to understand that Western Union customers don't buy Louis Vuittons, they don't drive Ferraris, they don't travel around for vacations. They are hard workers. They work maybe per day 12 to 18 hours. They are migrant backgrounds. And that they have a different history. They are hard workers, and we call them heroes. Yeah. And we don't call them our customers. We call them heroes, and we love them. And the reflection of that is also our employees. Look, Western Union is a traditional 166 years old American history. On the top of the company, it's me with a global background probably. The reason is that because we are such a global company, we have such global customers. 85% of our revenue is not in the US. And none of our countries are bigger than 5% of our revenue. Number 7 countries already 1% of our revenue. So that diverse we are. And the success probably, to answer your question, was that we learned from them and implemented also our leadership and our employees based on the customer's profile. Our employees reflect the customer profiles, and we immediately do understand them, what they're telling us. As I been here 8 years ago, we've been through a transformation. We had to change our business model. Our business model was more an agent, kind of franchise model, agent model, and now the regulatory environment changed totally. The regulator asked us to own the end-to-end customer, know your customer in the financial institutions, anti-money laundering activities, all these things changed. So we had to change totally our business model. And during that time also, we had to go total digital. So most of our fastest growing part of our business, this thing called mobile. You know, you use that and you can send from your app now money to Vietnam, Peru, to Russia, or to Finland in seconds, in minutes, and you can do that. So we had to do that. What we have done is that I went to the board, say that, okay, I'm going to take some risks here, and going to do some investments. And obviously we had a plan. But in the beginning, the investors didn't like it. As I announced that one in 2012, on that day, my stock went down 30%, 30. It's not 13, it's 30. Yeah. And you hear my Austrian Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. And it's really, and I said, I was sitting there, I couldn't imagine, right? I mean, but it was good for the company for long-term success. We had to do some decisions. We had to invest. We had to really tell to our shareholders we are changing our guidance for this year because it will come back. And if I wouldn't have my team behind me, if we wouldn't have the employees behind me, if I wouldn't take all the people telling the story, including the board, I didn't think that we would be successful. So the transparency reflecting the customer needs, because customers told us, look, they said, you have to change. You have to change. And it's hard because we have a hard core business, it's 85% of our revenue. It's high profitable, it's high margin business, and you have to go to the other side and invest, taking away from the core business and invest in you. That's the hardest thing to do for a publicly traded company. To change that environment, you need your team, you need your people, you need, because you are really alone there. And you need to have the people saying that, hey, it's good, Hikmet, and build. And it was good that people were tapping on my shoulder saying, hey, that's great, because it's good for my ego. So. And believe me, we all have egos, big egos. And our egos even got bigger even when the stock is down 32%, right?
Yeah.
Now we came back. We are definitely the leading company on the digital money transfer, and we've been, doing that story. So that's the transformation.
Well, there's such a diversity of industries that are represented on our panel today. And, we think, sometimes I'll let my mind wander and think about, okay, what must it be like to be a CEO, and are they just voraciously managing the balance sheet? Are they making sweeping decisions? Are being titans of industry? But what I hear from you all is that so much of what you do is about people. It's about your teams, and it's about the people. So my question is what are some of your challenges when it comes to recruiting new employees in your industry and retaining them, which we know is so important in a time of low employment, to hang on to those valued employees? Talk a little bit about your strategy around people. Steve, can we start with you? Let's work our way down.
Sure. You just hit on what is probably my number one accountability and priority as CEO of the company and our leadership team is not only talent retention, but attracting the best talent around the world. Jacobs, we have 77,000 employees globally, 450 offices around the world, almost every city you can think of across the globe. And retaining our great talent is a challenge. 10% of the people in our industry, our employees, all of us, move around. And we've been putting a strategy in place to have a transformational change on that. You can imagine the disruption, the inefficiency around that. The two key factors are that, first of all, people, as you know, want to work on cool projects, exciting programs and initiatives. We have that at Jacobs. Iconic infrastructure initiatives. We work on the biggest pharmaceutical initiatives. We have 5,000 people working for NASA across Kennedy Space Center, Johnson, and others. Some highly critical mission intelligence for the U.S. government. I could go on and on. So we have that, and yet people still leave the company. And our competitors have the same issue. The real differentiator comes back again to the culture. And how do we inspire people? How do we make people feel that they belong, they're valued, they're integral, they're excited? And so we're working on several initiatives, mental health as an example, to differentiate ourselves, that we not only care about our people's physical health, but mental health. It's been an issue, I think, across the globe that hasn't been addressed. We're now being an industry leader there. But the most important thing is inclusion and diversity. A lot of people talk about diversity and inclusion. We start with inclusivity because everyone needs to feel that they belong, that they're valued, no matter what group they belong to or what their preferences are or whatever. And at Jacobs, combined with CH2M, I think we have a unique model with employee network groups. We have 7 employee network groups that make up about 25,000 of our 77,000, and it's growing every day. These network groups span from Women's Network to the Harambe Black Network to a PRISM LGBT network and several others. And these aren't just networks to show we care or they help each other and talk to each other. We want these networks to drive the strategy, to be the voice of employees, to help adjust us as leaders to do the right thing as we move forward in driving the company.
So let's pivot for a moment and think a little more local. Then we'll talk about Denver for a little bit here. How do you each view Denver's affordability and some of the cost of living challenges that we have in Denver? And we've been tremendously successful in the last, since the recession. I think we've been at the top of many lists, and we're now at a stage where we've got some growing pains here. We're a victim of our success in some respects. How do you look at your team based in Denver? Do you have any particular strategies that are unique around trying to address that balance between cost of living, affordability for your employees here? Who would like to start? Anyone?
I was going to say that's definitely an emerging challenge for us. It used to be stone cold easy to recruit anybody, particularly off the West Coast. Even Dallas was considered to be more expensive, and you came to Colorado. Aside from the state tax, you came to Colorado, and the quality of life was so fabulous that you just didn't have an issue. But now people are really doing their homework, and it's getting tougher and tougher from a cost of living. I think the biggest issue for us is, particularly for young starting out families, how do they get that first starter home? How do they participate in the economy in the way they want to, and not get stuck in the ever kind of increasing amount of percentage of their salary that has to go to rentals, and the challenges there. So this is a small thing, but we work really hard to be flexible about how you work, because even on being here on the south end of town, a lot of our folks are commuting from far north, where they can afford to buy, what's the fastest growing area out toward DIA these days, or way south. It feels like we're almost to Monument in terms of those developments from Castle Rock. So we have to be really flexible, and particularly around work from home schedules, flexibility of when we start and close, so that people can afford to buy further out and commute longer in. And that's the biggest thing we've been able to do so far. But it's a real challenge, because living close in is just not becoming an option for most.
At the Business Roundtable, we try and slay a few dragons, leap a few buildings, and I know I received a pretty good recharge for today. I do want to take a couple seconds and recognize a lot of folks in the room here that help make what we do each and every day possible. Rebecca Kirsting, Peter Moore, Gail, Becky, our soon-to-be-announced board of directors, for your vision, for your leadership. The Business Roundtable is really just getting started here in Colorado. As you start to look at our national reach, our regional partnerships, our collaboration with so many incredible leaders in the state of Colorado. As you look out in this room today, we are so fortunate in this state to be blessed with so much talent and leadership. I saw Bob in here who smacked me earlier. I know Kelly's here on the work you're doing. I'm pretty sure, Kelly, you're okay talking about transportation with anybody, if anybody wants to talk about that. We have some critical and challenging issues here in this state, and so we need you to lean in, we need you to get involved in this process. Thank you again to our partners, our sponsors of the Business Roundtable and today's event, CareerWise, KPMG, our friends there, thank you, AT&T, and obviously our folks here at CU Denver South. Thank you to Icosa Media for all of your support in the program, the graphics, the social media, the branding, and the photos from today. To my team, Alex, Tim, Keenan, Denise, Annette, and Gail, for your efforts and making this event so successful. And I didn't leave out Lisa. I wanted to make sure we all took a second, gave Lisa a big round of applause for everything you do. There's a lot of things that we have still coming this year. We're going to have a climate event, immigration, trade and NAFTA, tariffs, our legislative reception, our upcoming industry awards. Literally tomorrow, we will be sending out the nomination forms for our Collaboration Industry Awards, so you get a chance to recognize some of those top Colorado companies that we want to recognize. If you want to learn more, go to cobrt.com, subscribe, lean in, get involved with our workforce, our future, because it's a collective effort of each and every one of you helping us make a big difference. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you for attending here. Drive safe and have a great day. Thank you.